Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to 90 Day Fiancé latest news. Veah Netherton was sitting at her kitchen table, browsing through her phone with a little tremor in her palms. The unopened cup of tea next to her was illuminated by the sunlight that came in through the window. She inhaled deeply, regained her balance, pressed the record button, and started talking to the camera. As she spoke to her supporters, her voice was composed but sensitive. Hello, everybody. I had something very personal to discuss. I received a brain tumor diagnosis a few months ago. It has been among my life's most difficult events. Veah's thoughts turned to the day she received the diagnosis while her words lingered in the air. Veah sat across from a neurologist in a sterile doctor's office, with the gentle ticking of a clock in the background. The doctor's tone was measured and his face was serious. The scans show that you have a brain tumor. We must talk about our options for treatment, which include radiation, surgery, and perhaps chemotherapy. As though the room's air had been drawn out, the words were heavy. Veah's mind was racing as she blinked. What does this signify? Her voice had wavered as she said, "What happens next?" Although the doctor gave guarantees, the treatment plan's specifics, surgical risks, a demanding recuperation period, and potential side effects sounded intimidating. With a pile of leaflets and the depressing realization that her life will never be the same, she exited the office. After returning to the kitchen, Veah stopped the recording and took a time to gather her thoughts. With a more determined tone, she resumed. I made an effort to heed the physician's recommendations. I received the first treatments. However, the adverse effects... She paused and lowered her eyes. The adverse effects were excruciating. I thought I was becoming less of myself. She could very clearly recall those exhausting weeks. Weak and fragile, Veah lay on a hospital bed. Nurses came and went from her room, checking vital signs and giving her medicine. Her throbbing headache was exacerbated by the bright fluorescent lights. Waves of nausea swept over her, and her tiny, shaking hands grabbed the edges of the blanket. It wasn't much better at home. She hardly had the strength to get out of bed. Every step was difficult. She felt like a shadow of the vivacious individual she had been. Veah started looking into alternative medicines because she was determined to find another solution. A therapist at the wellness clinic she visited described the possible advantages of holistic therapies. A lymphatic drainage massage, intended to cleanse her body, was part of one session. As the therapist worked, she writhed on the table. Sharp yet bearable, the pain served as a reminder of the toll her body had taken. However, her condition worsened in spite of her attempts. Veah woke up suddenly one night and clutched her tummy. She stumbled to the bathroom, feeling lightheaded. She started throwing up before she could phone for assistance, leaving the sink stained with blood. She fell to the ground as panic swept over her. Veah lay on a stretcher, her body hardly responding in the tumultuous emergency room environment. Around her, monitors beeped noisily as nurses and physicians hurried about giving fluids and conducting tests. Her thoughts were hazy with uncertainty and terror as she slipped in and out of consciousness. Veah's spirit was even more fragile than her body when she eventually made it home. Sitting quietly, she gazed out the window. She said to herself in a murmur, I can't do this any longer. She was more damaged than better after the procedures. She went to a support group meeting at a nearby community center in an attempt to gain clarity. Others who had struggled with their own health were there in the room. One elderly woman spoke with conviction and steadiness as she related her experience of beating cancer. The best healing sometimes comes from within, the woman stated. More effective than any medication may be finding calm and concentrating on your positive emotions. Veah found resonance in the words. She became aware that she had neglected her emotional and mental health since she had been so preoccupied with battling the illness. Veah started a new regimen the following morning. The early light came in through the curtains as she sat cross-legged on the floor of her living room. She let the stress in her body melt away as she closed her eyes and concentrated on her breathing. She later went to a nearby park and strolled leisurely along the meandering route. As she observed couples laughing and kids playing, the cool breeze caressed her skin. She felt a ray of hope for the first time in weeks. Veah sat in front of her phone at home that night and recorded the last portion of her message. Her face was gentle but resolute. I've made the decision to step away from all of the treatments. It's deciding to put my mental and emotional health first, rather than giving up. I want to do the things that make me happy and spend time with the people I care about. A tiny smile appeared on her lips as she hesitated. I appreciate your support, everyone. It has been my lifeline throughout this adventure. I'm not going to give up. I'm simply choose a different route. V reclined in her chair and looked out the window at the starry sky as she sent the video. She was at peace for the first time in a long time. She was prepared to meet whatever was ahead with elegance and strength. This gossip is over. If you liked the video, then give your opinion in the comment box and stay with us by subscribing the channel. Thank you.